Howdy, kids. Week 8 is upon us. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, everyone. Hello, Andrew. Sally, glad you could make it. Hey, Scott. M. Taryn. Greetings to you all. Appreciate you all coming. We'll get to the questions here momentarily. Hope everyone's having a great and successful week. Started out with a Thursday night game. It was not that Tom Brady. I mean, the numbers were okay, right? His totals weren't like the worst thing ever, but man, it just doesn't look right. And same with the Ravens. The injuries hurt. And yes, all my Kenyon Drake shares went down the tubes. Gus Edwards shares went down the tubes. Everything went down the tubes to start Thursday night out. Mark Andrews shares down the tubes. Horrible. Hope you're all doing well and better than you came out of that game reasonably well. And we'll get to the questions here in a minute. Just hit some of the top stories to get the day rolling. And yes, Jamar Chase going to miss some time. It's bad news. 4 to 6 weeks. It sounds like a fracture to his hip surgery. So rest is the thing that we'll give him in rehab. So he'll be working on that. Good news there. Matt Ryan is benched. I guess that's not a shock. Anyway, been following him. He has been playing extremely well. Debo Samuel out this week. Chuba Hubbard out this week. All right, Deontay Foreman people, this is your chance. DeAndre Swift back. Amon-Ra St. Brown still questionable. I'm not really sure why because he never had a concussion, but he's working through the concussion protocol. Practice all week. Didn't seem to have any issues or any setbacks during the week. Again, he didn't have a concussion. Concussion protocol works, people. We may be heading to a point where we're playing team quarterbacks if this keeps going the direction it's going. I mean, just like perceived, somebody thinking you had a concussion means you're going to miss the rest of the game. We're gonna probably have to make adjustments to our approaches as well, I think. So anyway, get on with that. Ezekiel Elliott unlikely to play this week. That's really good. DK Metcalf is a weird one, right? Not really sure what to make of this. And Tyler Lockett now a little beat up, and it's a new injury for him, an oblique strain that he turned up Friday. So he's questionable. Brandon Cook questionable. Monte Adams questionable. Darren Waller questionable. James Robinson now a New York Jet. Well, what do we make of this one? Darius Toney now a Kansas City Chief. Won't have the impact, but bad news. Some good news for Toney, right? And maybe they can get some value out of it. Still sounds like the team's going to be a play. A lot of trade rumors floating around out there. Hunt, Makers. Some talk about T.J. Hawkinson this morning. Jr. maybe. Now McCaffrey's in San Francisco. So trade deadline is Tuesday. Guessing we'll see some action. And I know you have questions because I see them. The mic sound cutting out in and out still. I need to see that. Working on this. I'm trying to get close to it. See if that works. Email it. You let me know if it's cutting in and out or if I need to do something. But sounds like I'm going. Hopefully you can hear me. So we'll jump right into the questions here. It still is coming in and out. Well, I don't know if I should keep going or we should start over. So I'll just try to be really close. I guess microphones aren't as powerful as they were. All right. Kevin O'Brien needs help this week. Wide receiver Adam Thielen, Brandon Cooks, or DJ Moore. I think DJ Moore is probably, a couple of things. I think Adam Thielen has a solid floor. I think there's going to be a lot of points in that game. Arizona, Minnesota. I wouldn't mind playing him. DJ Moore is the one I want to play. I guess the only question I have about DJ Moore, and like Brandon Cooks is given week, it's not an unfavorable matchup. He's questionable. Seems a little weird. Practice fully Friday, but still drew the question designation. We'll talk about him possibly being traded. I think his contract will preclude that, so wouldn't expect that to happen, but it's possible. But so if there's something cooking, maybe hold them out, right? So that's something you can watch towards the beginning of the game time. I don't think the kickoff times screw you up. Texas Titans is a late afternoon kickoff. It is. So that might mess you up a little bit. That might kind of preclude them. The Arizona, Minnesota, and Carolina, Atlanta games are earlier. So I would probably go ahead and play DJ Moore. Here's my only concern about this one. The workload's been great. He's got like a 33% target share. I want to say 3 or 4 weeks running. Production hasn't been great, but it was good last week, and maybe when it shouldn't have been, right, against the Buccaneers, you wouldn't expect that. My only concern is DJ Moore we saw last week a bit of a mirage, or can he keep playing? It's a great matchup for DJ Moore. I'm going in that direction. I think probably Adam Thielen's a reasonably safe play as well. Too. Happy Saturday, I'm Karen. PPR flex. I need to choose between Claypool in the slot. Philly. I think I want to say Curtis Samuel feels like a more consistent producer, right? And I know that doesn't mean, and there does seem to be a shift there back to Lawrence, right, or McLaurin with Taylor Heineke back in. So I want to say Curtis Samuel now has kind of fallen down to what about wide receiver 21 on the season, so still doing pretty well. Just seems like a way more consistent producer than Chase Claypool, who's going to remain independent. Also, that let's face it, that Pittsburgh offense is not looking very good. I think they're last in the league in yards per play. Maybe they need to pick up the pace, but he seems like he's third in the pecking order for sure. Maybe fourth if you include prior move. So probably going to avoid him. I'm going to go with Curtis Samuel. Hope they give him some more runs. I think that's diminishing as well, though. The running aspect of his game, Brian Robinson's getting a ton of work, but Antonio Gibson's staying in the mix. By the way, trade rumors about Antonio Gibson. Ron Rivera shot those down yesterday. They said we're not trading him. The Seahawks were trading Russell Wilson, and boy, are they glad they did. Probably not. Maybe not glad they paid him $250 million. Hopefully that changed. So yeah, I'm going to play Curtis Samuel just as a more consistent play. I think Chase Claypool has some home run, threat, but it hasn't been consistently enough. Good morning, Scott, again. JR1616, appreciate you coming to the show all the time, JR. Very nice to be a shot. Guillotine League, I need one of these quarterbacks to have a big week. Russell Wilson versus Jags? Nah. Russell Wilson may have a big week. At some point, we may get the big week. Right now, the Denver Broncos are averaging 14 points a game. I just don't see it. And also, he goes in, they say he's healthy. He's not in the report. He has a hamstring injury. I'd be a little worried in general. Derek Carr versus New Orleans, big game potential. But they've been leaning a little more heavily on Josh Jacobs. I'm not sure that's going to stop. We've seen teams run really effectively against the Saints the last 2 weeks. Again, Carr has big games in him no matter what because of Devontae Adams. I do think Devontae Adams is going to play. I mentioned at the top, Waller and Adams both questionable. Matt Collins questionable as well. Seems like they're going to play. Adams had a bad case of the flu, they're saying. So, back on the practice field Friday. Waller seemed to practice on a limited basis all week. I think he's trending back towards playing. But either way, there's big play ability there. But I'm not going to lie, Daniel Jones is the apple of my eyes this week. And if you look at the FSP staff rankings, go to the footballdiehards.com website. I'm sure many of you are subscribers. You'll see in the staff rankings. Daniel Jones locked in number 8. There's a reason for this. It's his rushing equity. He's running as good as anybody. I want to say I have the numbers in front of me somewhere. There will be an article coming out today on Daniel Jones, and what he's done in terms of his rushing totals have been phenomenal. It's always Saquon Barkley's, of course. We all know this. See if I can pull these up real quick. I could play either quarterback in that game. I think my bottom line here is I feel like Daniel Jones, just because of the rushing equity, has the big game. Maybe not so much as a passer because he doesn't have the weapons. Here's the numbers. He has more rushing yards so far this season. This is from Matthew Berry and his love-hate this week. More rushing yards in 2022 than Najee Harris, James Robinson, David Montgomery, A.J. Dillon, and Clyde. I mean, we're all looking for the Konami code quarterback. So Seattle's defense is horrible. So I'm going with Daniel Jones. This one, pretty easy one for me. I do love Derek Carr, but I'm going with Jones just for the rushing equity. At point of PPR, Stevenson or Foreman, probably still playing Stevenson, but I wouldn't talk you out of Foreman in this one. How close is that? I should look. It's pretty damn close. I mean, we have currently Stevenson ranked as running back 15. Have Foreman at 20. Falcons, it's a little easier to throw against them than to run against them. They're a run team too, so maybe that'll be the approach. I love Foreman, but I'm going to play Stevenson. Mike Dempsey and I were talking about this. By the way, I have a show on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. In case you didn't know, we are on Monday nights, Thursday nights, Friday night, Saturday night. We'll be on again. We'll be on tonight, 8 to 11. That's on NFL Radio and on the Fantasy Channel. They simulcast that one. It's Mike Dempsey and myself on Monday from 10 until 1 a.m. We're on the games. They broadcast that. We can do live look-ins, have a really good time. We're also on Thursday, 10 until 1 a.m. Friday, it's 10 until midnight. And then tonight, 8 till 11. I'm also on Sunday with Jeff Mans on the pregame show from 11 till 1. So you can catch that. I also do the live stream here every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, the On the Hot Seat. Working on some things for this week as well. And you can catch me here every Saturday at noon Eastern Time, also at the Diehards.com. So there's that. But we were talking about this. Like, people are asking, a lot of people, we go after the targets of opportunity. And I get why, right? Like this week, I want to play Tony Pollard. I want to play Deontay Foreman. I think he's a great player. And we saw dating back to last year, what he's capable of when he comes into the lineup. And I think, in general, I do want to play that, but I don't want to, play these targets of opportunity over great players that have them. And so right now, Ramondre Stevens is a pretty great player. Jets defense is pretty tough, so maybe that's consideration for you as well. If you're concerned about that matchup, or Damian Harris, gaining more ground. Also, trade rumors about Damian Harris. It wouldn't be surprising if what do we see when these players are about to get traded? I'm not saying James Robinson didn't play because he was about to get traded, because I don't think they knew. The Jets didn't know they were going to be without Brees Hall. You'd have to make a lot of connections that are unconnectable, connect a lot of dots that are unrelated to think that James Robinson, they were planning to trade him when they didn't play him last week. But you often see that when players are about to get traded, they disappear from the workload. So, could that happen with Damian Harris? Yes. Either way, I'm playing Stevenson. Need the best two of these, says Kevin O'Brien. 4 running backs: Travis Etienne, Ramondre Stevenson, Miles Sanders, Tony Pollard. So I'm playing Stevenson, and Pollard. I like Etienne just fine. Clear path to workload. Things look like they're going swimmingly for him, and they are. It's a really tough matchup against Denver. I could play him easily. Wouldn't bother me. I just like, and Pollard, I think it's a really favorable matchup. Bears not great against the run. A couple of things about Pollard. We haven't seen him get like a huge workload, but we have seen him start before against San Francisco in 2020 with Ezekiel Elliott out. He had a couple touchdowns, but still only had, I think, 14 carries in that game. One of the touchdowns, 40 yards, though, and he has that big playability in him. Etienne obviously has big playability in him. I'm trying to avoid that matchup. I wouldn't talk you out of him. Sanders is the low man. All good plays, Kevin. At point PPR, Sutton versus Jags or Cooks versus Titans. I'm probably going Sutton versus Jags just because I'm not really sure what's going on with Brandon Cooks. Maybe if you check the website overnight, I'll have some more news on him. I mean, again, Sutton to me is probably the playable piece in this offense, but it's not a good offense. And I don't need to play the potential breakout, which I'm not sure, but I don't need to play the potential breakout. To me, I'll wait and see if it happens. The Broncos averaging 14.3 points a game or something ridiculous. Haven't hit 20 points yet this year. It's just hard to find a path for high-end production there. I think you can find it with Cooks, but if I'm not sure he's going to play, I'd be a little reluctant to roll with him. So you might want to watch the website in advance. I'll have stuff overnight. Always do if you're subscribers to the website. If you're not, you can subscribe. We'll give you a 15% discount. Use the promo code Diehards when you sign up. But what I do overnight is I gather all the insider info out there, all the Adam Kempsey, Rappaport, Jeremy Fowlers, Sarah's, all of these guys are out there putting stuff out. They're hearing from agents, etc. And I gather that all up and put it in one place for you. So, so maybe we'll learn more about Cooks at that point. And if so, I mean, I'd probably rather play Cooks, but the kickoffs are going to be problematic. Again, if you're not following along closely, the London game starts early. People, it's a 9:30 a.m. kickoff, so be ready for that. 8 a.m. Eastern inactive. Jamal Agnew. Sal, glad you could make it. So Gregory Zane trade away Aaron Jones for ETN in a PPR league. Seems like you're rearranging. If you think, I'm probably sticking with Jones myself. I think he's the best option in an offense that has a really good quarterback and not a lot of weapons for him. So I'd probably go with that. I'm not against ETN. We'll see how he holds up to this featured role. And I think featured role is kind of you're going to see some JaMycal Hasty. You might see some Stu Connor. I don't think ETN get more work with James Robinson gone. I think you'll see him get the same work, but he's a huge big play threat. So is Aaron Jones. I'm probably sticking with Jones. Good morning, Scott Kobe. Isaiah McKenzie versus Green Bay or David Montgomery versus Dallas. Tough matchup for the Bears. I think running is the way they're going to get there. So this is probably, and this Scott, going to be one of those where I divide it up. Do I need a swing for the fence play? Because that's all Isaiah McKenzie is. You're getting a piece of that hugely explosive Buffalo offense. If that piece is going to serve you well. I mean, I think the two things you can count on with Buffalo are Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. After that, somebody else is going to be really good. Maybe somebody else's. Maybe nobody else's, right? It's just that kind of offense. A lot of mouths to feed, a lot of capable playmakers. Isaiah McKenzie's definitely one of them. So wouldn't be against playing him, but I'm probably going David Montgomery as the safer play here. And that would be my hello, Andrea. Hello. Christian S. I need 2 of these 4 to complete my 2 flexes. Tony Pollard, Dameon Pierce, Eno Benjamin. So it's ETN and Pollard for me. I want to play Dameon Pierce. Pretty good matchup. I'm probably playing Pierce over Pollard as much as I like Pollard this week. The workload's hard as this. So ETN and Pierce. Eno Benjamin, I think ran hard. He looks great. James Conner's ruled out. I think Eno Benjamin probably has a starting role. Darrell Williams is kind of a fly in the ointment for me. I'd like to see what they plan to do with him. Maybe they don't do anything with him. He's listed as questionable. Maybe he gets ruled out. But either way, I think the order you list them, except swapping Pollard and Pierce, Pollard, hi Brian M. Jamal Williams versus Dolphins or Jerry Jeudy versus Jacksonville and London. Probably going with Jamal Williams there, Scott. He's had a pretty consistent role. It's more of a floor play. I don't know if there's a ceiling in Denver. I can't even say Jerry Jeudy's ceiling play. He'll make some big plays, but it's a tough one. Dawson Knox versus Green Bay or Noah Fant versus the Giants. So Noah Fant's kind of gaining a little traction. Still not to the point where I'd feel confident starting him, but he's a player to watch going forward. I'd probably start Dawson Knox there. And if I am, I'm probably not starting Isaiah McKenzie. If you're, if that's, I know you have many rosters. So, but if that's the same roster, it'd only be one of them, Scott. Scott Mueller, need to add one in a yard. Josh Reynolds, Claypool, Alec Pierce, or Slayton. Wait, it would be Alec Pierce. I guess Slayton for me. It would be Alec Pierce if I knew what to expect from Sam Ehlinger, who may be fantastic, right? There's a lot of people who think he's going to fare really well moving into starter. The Colts would be among those people, right? Obviously. Ehlinger does, he has an arm. He has some playmaking ability, more mobility for sure than Matt Ryan, and he'll probably need that. Josh Reynolds is going to play, so you think this is going to be a high-scoring game, and I think that's the case. There's something to be said for him. I'm going to say Slayton just for the role. I think it's in the matchup. I feel like I'm really not bad. So Slayton for me this week. Good morning, Remy. Good morning, Albert. Best flex, full PPR, Singletary or Tyler Boyd. I like Singletary this week, but Tyler Boyd is going to have a much bigger role without Jamar Chase. We know it. So I'm not against it. I think it's a pretty close one. I'm maybe a little more on Singletary than some people this week. I think it's going to be a good game for him. Iron Eddie 1120, full point PPR. Start Miles Sanders in Pittsburgh. Thank you, Iron Eddie. And if everyone's watching, please realize that if you give me full names and opponents, it's very helpful to process more quickly. I'm getting old. So, Kenneth Walker versus Miles Sanders over any of Kenneth Walker, Hopkins, or Lane. I mean, I would consider him probably over either receiver, but I'm probably playing those 2 receivers. Good. Glad that fixed this out. I will keep the microphone right in my naked face. Michael Carter or Foreman in my 14. I'm going with Foreman in that one. That would be one where I am. And just I think Michael Carter is going to be the starter. We should talk about this a little bit. I have articles up on the website, footballdiehards.com. you can check out. I've done a couple various opinions out there. I think for this week, Michael Carter is the guy. But I think one thing that sticks in your mind, and you probably heard this, Mike LaFleur, the offensive coordinator, basically said, "Yeah, we'll go with the hot hand." We wanted here. We wanted a little clarity. We're not going to have that clarity. So maybe if James Robinson is inactive, pregame inactive, which he very well might be. I mean, it's just first weekend. But we saw Christian McCaffrey show up on even less. I'm not saying James Robinson, Christian McCaffrey, but McCaffrey shows up in San Francisco a day before the game, day and a half, and takes 20 snaps, right? So I mean, the running back is a position you can do that. But I'm going Foreman. Bradley Madison, good morning, Bob. How's cats? Cats are great. Thank you very much. I'm looking at one now. Decent team. I would need to fill a bench spot. Would you pick up Algier, Herbert, Hubbard? So, at some point here soon, Cordell Patterson coming back. That's going to be a limiting factor for Algier. David Montgomery already a limiting factor for Will Herbert, although not so much that Herbert isn't a viable play every week. I think Herbert is going to remain a plus level play. And if he moves ahead of Montgomery at some point, which some people speculate he will, I mean, he'll be a better play. Hubbard was the starter last week. Not going to play this week. Maybe this is an opportunity for Deontay Foreman to steal down the job, kind of lock himself in as the primary play. I guess that would, if he fares well against Atlanta this week. Gibson, I mean, he's been kind of more effective as a playmaker in a secondary role behind Brian Robinson than he was in the primary role. So that's interesting. I'm probably going with Herbert, but I think these are all, there's a case to be made problem. I'd go Herbert, Hubbard, Gibson, Algier in that order. Any news on Juwan Jennings for a replacement for Debo and you turn to Ray McCloud? I think right now, no news on Jennings. I haven't seen any speculation as to whether he's going to go or not. I think he was limited. Let me just double check and see if I got. Just double check. Have it right. It wasn't in the injury report. So, well, not everybody is on the injury report. That's the roster. So boy, this team's injury report is not very well set up. So Juwan Jennings, did not. So he's limited one day. I don't know. I don't have a great feeling about him, Scott. I would probably go with Ray McCloud to play it safe if you needed one. Just for now, but we're digging deep here, as you realize. You're kind of taking your chances with you. But we talked about this on the radio program last night, and I think the default. I mean, if you can't get a hold of Ray, I would probably default to Ray, not knowing what. Game, thanks for coming. Hope it's no longer cutting out. I know I'm a fair amount behind on the questions based on time, so yes, audio is cutting out. Hopefully, it's good afternoon, Robert. I'd be leery of Swift getting vultured at the goal line. I could start, over him at a half-point PPR flex. Stephen, I'm probably still playing Swift in this one. Should be fully healthy. So the Dom is in and out. I'm guessing that's from. Yeah, so just I'm sure you just heard that real estate lawyers in New Jersey, New York, Weber Fabian and Associates LLC. That's kind of where I'm at. I just based on what we've heard, everyone was paying attention to Debo, not a lot of attention to Jennings, but Jennings did not practice for 2 days, limited yesterday. That seems a little dicey. And either way, I mean, if I think two players are fairly equal and one of them's healthy and one of them's not, I'm going to go with that. And Ray showed some potential there. Janie Thomas, PR, Hayden Hurst, or Dulcich. I'd probably play Hayden Hurst over Dulcich, but I do like Dulcich. I think he's a pretty good play. Let me see. So they're ranked 12 and 13. So kind of go with your hunch. If you had a hunch about Dulcich, that's fine. I think without Jamar Chase, Hurst targets have been pretty solid either way. The production has kind of been up and down more than I'd like, but the opportunities have been there. I don't think the opportunities go away. So again, like you want to play the upside. I think Dolphins is the upside play. You want to play the floor play. I think it's Hayden Hurst, who is not without upside as well. Also, if Malik Willis plays, when you start him over mid-tier guys running up, might look at the range of players. That's a pretty good question. Look at the range of players I'd probably consider. Um, you get down into once I get past it, like, yeah, I would say that. Trevor Lawrence. I mean, Justin Fields, tough defense against Dallas. Jimmy Garoppolo, Bird, Ryan. Yeah, I think that's a totally perfectly viable option there. Like if he goes, that's the thing. You're playing that running upside. If I'm playing Daniel Jones, consider him top. Great cast of weapons or the passing attacks, but doing good enough. Rushing equity. The video behind me is pixelating a little. That's outside my control. Good morning, Mr. Campers. Andrea needs one wide receiver, one flex. Bobby versus Vegas, Pittman versus Washington, Moore versus Atlanta, Damian Pierce versus Tennessee. I'm playing Damian Pierce. Number one is the flex, and then you got to pick between those receivers. Let's see, we have Pittman ranked on the top. I want to say, like, I like Pittman. Target share has been massive, right? Moore's right there with him. I want to say we have more. These are all like right in the same tier, I would say. They're right in the tier of right, mid wide receiver one to mid wide receiver two. So I'd probably go with Pittman for volume. But DJ Moore's volume has been pretty good as well. I'm gonna rank a Pittman, but and take your choice. They're all. So when I sit here and I say they're all in the same tier, this is kind of like your place. I'm not going to pretend I can predict with certainty within a tier where people are going to fit. I feel pretty comfortable with the tiers, though, right? And all those guys are in the same tier. So I'm going to follow the Pittman. If you're worried about Ellinger, I think Olave's a perfect play. If you're worried about matchup, not DJ Moore is a pretty good play. So in that order, Stephen Pavia, Bob, will Aaron Jones be a week I could win Wandale over full? I probably would not win Wandale over him at full PPR. Rams defense versus Niners or Cincinnati defense versus Cleveland. I'm probably playing the Cincinnati defense. What's your take on Kyron Williams this week and beyond? I don't think he's so. We'll see today. If he's elevated, I don't know that I'd be forcing the lineups. Kyron Williams is who we're talking about. Has returned to practice. The 21-day window is open, so I don't know if we'll see him this week or not. But obviously, and maybe some of the going forward depends on a trade. There's talk that they're looking at Kareem Hunt, and two sides are talking. If Kareem Hunt goes up there, all bets are off. If they get rid of Cam Akers and don't add anybody, then Kyron Williams is very interesting. You all, I'm sure, saw the Jordan Rodriguez report, and I've talked to her, and she's back this summer. She mentioned this as well, and it was kind of like a similar vibe. It just nobody was talking about it. It sounds like a similar vibe to what we were hearing in Washington when Brian Robinson was gaining momentum and gaining traction. Suddenly, the notion was before the shooting that he was going to be get the bulk of the workload, right? Sounds like this was a similar situation. So I'd be interested. I'd be rostering him as a speculative play, but all bets would be off. All bets would be off if Kareem Hunt shows up. Mark, need 3. Deontay Foreman to Atlanta, Ayuk versus Rams, Minnesota 1. Yeah. So Foreman, probably Ayuk, and may have a really good game. My concern about is not that isn't going to have enough opportunities. His ceiling a little bit capped. I'd probably play him over Wandale, but I like what the Giants are doing with Wandale, and I think that role is going to go. But I'd probably still play Eno, especially if Darrell Williams is inactive. That would lock it in. Jason Wilson, happy Saturday. Flex out of he's in a PPR. Packers, Ramondre Stevenson versus or Michael Pittman versus man. I'm probably playing Ramondre Stevenson here. I come to the same things you do. I want a piece of that Buffalo offense every chance I get because there's so much upside. But you know what it is, and I talked about it earlier, but I'll just restate it. I think there's two super safe plays here, and they're Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. And after that, they're going to be, it's going to be hit or miss to some degree, right? So Gabe Davis is capable of having two games. I think Ramondre Stevenson is the highest scorer of this group. I would play him. And I'd probably play Pittman over Davis myself. But I can, again, we understand the concerns there, right? It's a new quarterback. We don't know what's going on. I'll just say the Colts obviously think, enough of Ellinger to move him first ahead of Nick Foles and now ahead of Matt Ryan. This seems to be a thing that's been gaining momentum over the last few weeks. So maybe out of necessity, right? Get in sync with this offense. The numbers were okay, but a lot of it was based on volume. We see that same volume. Go run heavier with Taylor. So there's enough mystery there that if I could avoid that, and you have great options, I would avoid that. Jason Wilson wants to know if I would start Tua over Burrow. I actually don't. I think we're ranked them consecutively as well. Yeah, I'm 2 of 5 and Burrow at 6. So crazy if you did. Follow the rankings. It's obviously the Detroit matchup is great. All his weapons are in place. Waddle's off the injury report. So everything's looking good. Dominic Conti, my second quarterback in a 2-quarterback league of PJ Walker versus Atlanta or Mac Jones versus Jets. I'd probably go ahead and play Walker. I don't even believe in Walker, right? I mean, I'm very skeptical, but I'd probably play him in this case. You just go ahead and not scratch the surface. I mean, we've already seen Mac Jones get pulled once for performance. I don't know if that's going to be the one. Certainly within the range of possibility. Right? I don't think that's the case for Walker at this point. And it's a super good matchup for him, even if I don't believe in him. And it's not that I don't believe in him. I just don't have enough evidence to believe in him. I mean, one game could be a mirage. It was a really good game. So, I'm hoping he is more of what we saw last week than what he's been every time we've seen him up to this point, which hasn't been as good. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play him in this matchup. Just give me the uncertainty. And by the way, the Jets defense is playing really good football. Allen Robinson and Deontay Johnson in a non-PPR. I'm going to go Deontay Johnson because he's going to get the volume. I don't think either of these guys are great plays. Allen Robinson, maybe getting more goal line looks. Van Jefferson's coming back is going to play. I don't know how we're going to see him. Sean McCaffrey will play, his normal workload. Well, normal workload for a third receiver. But he's a big play threat. And we've seen him have, in the past, a connection with Matt Stafford. Seems to be Allen Robinson for the most part. Robinson's role is getting better. I mean, he's seeing more targets. That's great. But not sure it's trusted. I'm going with Deontay Johnson. Mr. Chambers would like to know in half PPR versus Green Bay, Kittle versus LA Rams, versus Minnesota. I like Kittle a lot this week. He's my top ranked tight end. I'm probably still going with Singletary over Benjamin. Again, maybe that clears up a little bit. If we get some clarity, it's not like it's like a super wide gap in the rankings. I mean, Benjamin's just right outside the running back twos. Singletary's just inside him. So maybe maybe Scampers, if you check out the inactives, there is no Darrell Williams. Again, I don't even know if Darrell Williams. I'm just trying to minimize the possibilities. If it's just Benjamin, Keontae Ingram, pretty good split, and we saw against the Saints, I would take that probably over Singletary. I like Singletary. Leading my league in scoring, but now in trouble. Eckler off, all done for the season. But crap again. Waiver wire. McKissick. As James Cook, Gainwell, Hasty, or McKissick. It'd probably be Huntley. I mean, getting at least a more drug, you'd hope for some, a touchdown. I mean, I think you're hoping the same thing with Cook, but Huntley's getting more opportunities. I don't know if Gainwell's getting the kind of workload I want with Boston Scott back. So, and Hasty, I think is, he's going to have, I don't think he's going to run for the big touchdown every time, but he's going to have a little bit more of a role. But I'm probably going with Huntley there. Great. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate the show. I enjoyed the show too. It's a good time. Game overboard. Half point PPR. Brian Robinson versus Indy. Brandon Cooks versus Tennessee, or Melvin Gordon versus Jacksonville. I'm gonna play Brian Robinson, but I'm glad he's getting all the volume and he's doing a lot. It doesn't seem like a super high end play. I just, maybe next week when we're having this conversation, he scored a touchdown. I'll have a different view of this. It just doesn't seem inspiring. It seems like Gibson's getting the higher leverage plays, this flashier opportunities. So, but I would probably still play him in this case. Again, Brandon Cook listed as questionable, kind of turned up practice fully, but so maybe something happened during practice or at the end of practice, but it's a wrist injury. I just don't know what to make of it in this late afternoon kickoff. I'm trying to avoid the Denver running back and just the Denver offense in general. It's a game, and I'm sure you know this, but it's a good offense. So scoring 14. So I'd like to avoid it, and with David Murray in the mix there, I'll go Brian Robinson, and then it would probably be, if you don't feel like Robinson, it might be Gordon next just because of the uncertainty for Rita Cook. So I just don't know what to make. Also, check the website early tomorrow morning, and I'll probably have some idea of the inactives, or at least an idea where that's heading, or if you tune into the radio program with me and Jeff at 11. Steve Linder, Bob, PPR, Andre Stevens versus Jets, or Swift versus Dolphins. I'll probably put Stevenson in this one. We blame you for playing. It's that close. They're both like super high end running back dudes for me. So maybe I'd play Swift just to get a piece. I think we've been waiting. I have concerns about him staying on the field, but I have the injury agnostic, so he should be healthy after a month off. Let's go Swift. You talked me into it, or I talked me into it. Chuck Trice for Corby for quarterback one. Russell Wilson, Stafford. Probably slightly into Stafford. That Fields was great though. But I'm just the pass rush gives me a little concern. I don't need to play Wilson again. It's just him, and maybe it'll come around, but it's just a horrible offense right now. Unproductive offense. Non-scoring offense. 14 points a game. Different guillotine league for JR 16-16. PPR need one. Ingram versus Broncos, or Smith versus Cardinals, or Waller versus Saints. In the world, I played Darren Waller, but I don't know. Is he? I'm probably going in this. I'm gonna probably go over Smith in this one. I like Ingram. Don't like the matchup. Waller, I'm fine with everything. They're spreading the ball around, but obviously more with Devontae Adams running heavily. And Waller is not 100% healthy. He's going in questionable. Worries me. Updated news on Brandon Cooks. Earlier, I talked a little bit about this guy. Talked about getting joining in. So it seems unlikely because his contract, you're paying, I want to say $18 million. But we'll see. It's always, always a little weird and not all conspiratorial when someone turns up on the injury report. We don't hear a lot about it. So no news on the injury other than he turned up with a wrist injury. Seems a little weird. And the rumors are that he won't be traded. So that's where it is. PPR, Ayuk versus Rams, or Pittman versus Commanders. Probably still playing Pittman. Wouldn't talk about Ayuk. I love his upside, and obviously Deebo Samuel out. He's going to have more, if not more, better opportunities, or more. George Kittle's in the mix there. McCaffrey. I'm going to go Pittman. Yes, hit the like button if you can hear me. Hit the dislike button if you can't stand me. Myself, I don't like it all. Let's see. And by the way, subscribe to the channel right there. I'm here every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time for the hot seat with Bob Harris. A little chat, talk a little news. Have a guest on this week, planning a guest this week to come talk a little bit, and we take questions as well. Just much more focused on questions every Saturday noon. Also on the Football Diehards YouTube channel, Saturday night with Jamie Calandro, Eric Romoff, who was on the radio program last night. Sharp Cookies talking DFS ownership, games they like. They do a game overview, talk about all the plays they like, who they're avoiding, who they're hitting, what kind of ownership you could expect in those plays. All kinds of good stuff. So appreciate that, Jared. Defense question. One of these: Dolphins versus Lions, Colts D versus Commanders, Jets versus New England. I wish the Dolphins defense was better, but it's not. I'd probably go Colts against the Commanders in this case. Shaquille Leonard back. Something to be said for the Jets versus New England. It's between those two. Try to pick on quarterbacks, right? So Taylor Heineke, hold up. Let's go with the Jets. We will see Surtain this Sunday. Samuel. I don't know how much we'll see that, right? Because Surtain doesn't usually go into the slot. Kirk works out of the slot a lot. I'm sure he'll see it some. You know, I probably wouldn't pivot. I'd probably stick with Kirk. Let me just see how far apart we are in the rankings. Yeah, they're kind of outside the tier, so I'd probably stick with Kirk. But honestly, I wouldn't talk about Miller today. We've seen what Surtain does to opposing receivers, right? Just don't think we're going to get the shadow treatment here because he doesn't move into the slot or hasn't moved in the slot. 10-team PPR, who to start? Henderson, Brian Robinson, or Gordon? Um, I don't feel great about Henderson. Maybe I should feel better for him. We're talking. I'm gonna probably go Henderson here. I don't feel great about it. They're in the rankings, Colin. They're ranked consecutively. Henderson, Brian Robinson. So if you have a hunch, feel free to play it. Gordon Paul is on the tail end of that, few spots down, but I'd say the order you have them is the order I'd play. Will T, Flex, PR, Dylan, Josh Reynolds, Tunyon, Jalen Warren, tough flexes. Gee, right? That is tough. I mean, we haven't seen Dylan. I don't feel like I need to play Dylan until I feel like the Packers need to. Just getting news. Jamar Chase will not go on injured reserve. That keeps it at least, if he somehow heals for 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever, that he could get back. It sounds like a 4 to 6 week thing. So if he'd gone on IR, that doesn't really seem like it'd be a difference maker. But maybe he heals faster, and if he does, he can get back faster. That'd be great. Back to Will T. I've been avoiding this question. It is tough. I'm probably going to go. I'm going to go Josh Reynolds. So, and the Steelers just ruled out Chris Boswell, the place kicker. Heard of his questionable with groin injury, so news we've all been waiting. See if I got the replacement. They did not. I'm probably going Josh Reynolds here. I don't feel great about any of these plays. Well, honestly, I just think the matchup. I think it's going to be a shootout. I also Green Bay is going to be playing from behind, right? So so it's between Dylan and Tunyon for me, but or Josh. I'm sorry, Reynolds and Tunyon. I'm going to go Reynolds. Hi, Eric. Flex Aaron Jones or Michael Carter. I'm probably still playing Aaron Jones over Michael Carter. I don't know if there's anything we can do about it. I'm as close as I can be to the microphone, so I will talk this close. How's that? I don't know what else to do, people. Let me get back and see where I was. Pat Fryermuth versus Philly. Andrea wants to know versus Philly or I'm playing Fryermuth over those. I think that I feel pretty good about Fryermuth. I don't feel good about Pittsburgh's offense, but I feel pretty good about Fryermuth. Hawkinson or Fryermuth, full PPR. I'm probably leaning Hawkinson in that one, but let me see by how much. Yeah, just by a little bit. I mean, they're both in my top 10. So I lean Hawkinson slightly. He's only had one big game this year. Trade rumors on him today, too, and it doesn't seem like they're getting called. Do I think Margaret's a good one shows up with TK out? Well, I think TK is out. Tyler Lockett might be out as well. I mean, I think there would be no choice to show up. I mean, he's capable of this. We've seen it before, though. He kind of shows up and has a splash. But I think the opportunities will be there if either of those guys are out, or maybe both of them are out, Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf. So, Again, both listed as questionable, so we're not really sure if that's the case. Yeah, it seemed like Metcalf looked like he was going to miss some time, and we'll do a little bit in practice, so we'll see on that one. Gladiator Raider, Hopkins, Sutton, Gabe Davis. Probably going to sit Sutton there. Again, bad offense, not a bad play. Kevin O'Brien, how would you value Van Jefferson if he returns this week? Would this he is returning this week? Sean McVay has said so, and he will play his usual role. Sean McVay said so, and I think it will affect his value a little bit. I don't know if it totally dilutes it, but maybe it's a bigger factor. Um, who's already kind of struggling, but it will be. I think just another mouth to feed who's been an effective playmaker has some limit. Pedro first going to first. That's perfectly reasonable. Slight lean for me for Hayden on that one. Make room for Nico just in case Cook gets traded. Okay, so we don't know how bad Nico is hurt right now. I don't think he's going to play this week. And I thought it was odd that Lovie said it's not a season-ending injury. When he says it's not a season-ending injury, is he implying that it's not an injury? I mean, that's kind of what he's saying. So I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on his health, and we just don't know that yet, Pedro. He didn't practice at all this week. This week, but if he did, that would be a good boost. I mean, I do like him. Again, the whole notion of Cooks getting traded, like his contract is not favorable for that, so we'll find out. Tuesday trade deadline, a lot more players. Darth Tua, A-Rob versus 49ers, or Deontay Johnson versus Philadelphia in a non-PPR. Sorry about the sound, everybody. I don't know what to do. Tua versus A-Rob. A-Rob versus Niners. Allen Robinson. Deontay Johnson. I'm probably going to go ahead and play Deontay Johnson there. I know it's a tough match. I mean, at least they're going to get some. Need a boom bust play at Flex this weekend. 30-point dog on waivers. Oh, wow. Harris Marshall versus Atlanta, Gesicki, Callaway. Top options, MVS Hardman, whatever. Wow. So, I mean, I think Gesicki might have that upside. I mean, we've seen him have some huge games before. I'm not banking on it, but it is a really favorable matchup. Callaway is going to have a role, and their touchdown possibility there. So I think either of them. I wouldn't want to drop any of those guys, honestly. But I also don't want to take a loss. If you made me drop one, I'm thinking it's likely to get picked up because you want to make a move back, probably. It might depend on who your other tight ends are, but it would probably be one of the call that. Honestly, I would probably think about this for 2 days before I make the move. So just in the 30 seconds, I'm going to play Gesicki and I'm going to drop Everett. I'll be happy about it. Pedro, what are your thoughts on Pickett to Pickens in Philly? Yeah, I think it definitely flex consideration. Pickett clearly has an eye for Pickens, and the problem here is another case similar to Denver. It's not a great offense. They're just not. It's not happening. And, they're talking like Matt Canada is going to keep his role, and the play caller and make any changes. All you're hanging your hat on is Pickens' willingness to sling it. He is going to flex consideration. Bob, I need one. Versus Chicago, Hopkins versus Minnesota. I'm probably playing Hopkins. I'm going to have to play Hopkins. Joe, Money Joe, 8-man PPR. I lost my place. Hold on. Big Money Joe, there you are. 8-man PPR, need 2 wide receivers. I have Metcalf, Lockett, Sutton. Just picked up DJ Moore and Boyd. Also have Gallup, Renfro, Samuels, Mondale, Robinson, Woods, Godwin, et cetera. Just need 2. Then why did you give me 10? Metcalf, I don't even understand the question, Joe. Yeah, I'm trying to make sense of this. So, I mean, I'd like to play Metcalf and Lockett, but obviously they're both. So I play DJ Moore. I play Boyd. If you need two of those, Moore and Boyd. My president show. Olave and Gabe Davis. I'm probably playing Olave for the floor. Gabe Davis for the Olave has hanging on the Claypool and PPR in case of a trade. Likely. Yeah, that's we'll talk about that. But also, yes, that's likely. Drop him for Kyron Williams before kickoff, or risk waiting for the trade deadline to pass and catch off waivers. I mean, what is your expectation if he gets traded? Right? That he's going to fall into a place where he suddenly has a great role. I mean, it's possible. That doesn't seem like the likely of the range of possible outcomes. I'd probably take the chance and roster Kyron Williams. I think there's probably a upside there, but the trade deadline is going to change it for most of them, right? Is gone. Kyron Williams is much more valuable as long as they Hunt, which seems like it's entirely possible. So um, yeah, I don't know. Hang on, you're hanging on to a wide receiver 40 something, make your starting lineup every week. I'd be willing to move on for a speculative player running back, or kind of the league winning players, or rise. Right? But again, there's so many moving pieces there, possibly with potential for trades. It's hard to say. Brandon Cooks and his wrist, Wandale Robinson. Also, how concerned are you that I'm not really overly concerned about Hayden Hurst. We'll find out. The report will be out. He's been playing through his issue. I want to say going back to the Dallas game. I mean, I know the concerns there because what we saw with T. Higgins that one week. He just actually he's added a name to it. I'm probably relatively confident he's been limited both days, so we'll find out today. I'd watch today, and he's questionable. That's what he's been playing through. Maybe they I don't know. Um, between Cooks and Robinson, I mean, in a vacuum, I'd easily prefer Cooks. We're not in a vacuum, and I don't know what to make. Maybe we get some information overnight. If you're a subscriber to the site, check the site. If I feel pretty confident that Cooks is going to play, so when there's two even players, and I'm deciding between talk, he's not going on injured reserve. Um, so like if two players are like close or right in the same tier, then I'm always going to default to the one who doesn't have any injury issues. I don't know if Robinson's on the same tier yet. I think it's coming that way. So I'm hopeful. I think right now I'd rather play Cooks, but you can wait after kickoff. So you got that. Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate that. B Henderson. Oh, B. Avoid for flex. Um, I'd probably play the Jets defense. I'd probably play Henderson. I wouldn't talk you out of Boyd at all. Tua over Burrow. Thank you, Pedro. Cousins versus Arizona or Gino versus New York. I'm playing Cousins for that reason. Banged up pass catchers. Christian S need one half point PPR from Jamal Williams, Foreman, and Goodwin. I'm going to play Foreman. Can't do anything about the sound. I may just up here. PPR Kelsey replacement. Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst. Maybe play the upside with Kaseki in this one. Especially with Hurst, maybe we'll find out the injury report. If you're looking for the floor, I think Hurst is it, but I think Kaseki is kind of a sneaky play for me this week. I'd go ahead and play him. Need two: Melvin Gordon, Wandale Robinson, or George Pickens. Hey, getting very hard to play Pitts, right? there- I'd probably I'd probably play Pittsburgh and hope for the best. But it's just hope at this point for Pitts, right? I mean, we know he's a great player. We haven't seen the usage. I don't know if I suddenly expect it to happen. Knox though is pretty hit or miss too. So again, the issue with the Bills is not that any of them can't be great every any week. It's just there's a lot of them who can be great any given week. Probably playing Melvin Gordon over Robinson and Pickens over Robinson. Okay, so I guess we're gonna cut this off. Sorry, if the audio's bad. I don't know. We'll work on it. Try and get it better next time. Appreciate y'all coming. We'll see what we can do. Good luck.